What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Every Week We Follow. So today we're going to do a bit of a transfer update. There's some kind of mumblings and some things going on. So we are going to talk about outgoings. We're going to talk about rumoured outgoings, potential incomings alongside that. There's obviously been the tragic news of Diogo Jota, which we will also touch on at the start also. But first, guys, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I think I'm in shock from the Diogo Jota thing, mate. It's genuinely made me feel sad. Like I'm. Football is a magical thing that brings us all together, right? And I guess if you're of a certain age and you're a family man, like I think you can resonate that life is precious, man. Like, and we don't. It's cliche maybe, and we talk about kind of living life to the full. But when stuff like this happens, it just shows you how quickly things can change in your life, mate. And I just feel the pain. He's like leaving a wife and 3 kids behind, and a mum and his mum and dad who have lost 2 sons in the space of a blink of an eye. It's just fucking devastating, mate. It pains me really because I've seen a lot on. Obviously, it's been all over social media and just people cashing in on it and kind of talking it like just for clicks and stuff. You're like, mate, like. And that's why I didn't do anything yesterday. I just wanted time to reflect on it and kind of have a bit of a chat about it today and go, do you know what? Liverpool kind of rivalry aside, and stuff like that. This is about as real as it gets, and football's great. And hopefully, I just hope that it comes together and we can, there'll be tributes galore throughout the season. Like, hopefully every team that come up against Liverpool, there's some sort of thing that the club do, to remember him, because
I mean, they will. Liverpool are very good at doing those kinds of things, and there's usually quite a big union among the fan base. But I actually think it'll probably be across the whole of the Premier League. It'll probably be across, obviously, Portuguese football as well and stuff. I think there'll be lots happening. But yeah, it is mad. When I heard the news, I was literally like, "What?" It's not, obviously, it's a much more high-profile player, but the closest thing I heard about this was who's our young keeper? Oh God, what was his name? Died in his hotel room. Or he was found in his hotel room, wasn't he? What was his name?
Oh God, I don't know.
Goalkeeper. Remember, died. Oh my God, like last year or the year before.
Oh mate, this is my brain cells on my way out.
Oh, terrible.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. I'm sure you'll know. But like, that's I haven't. You don't often hear of a footballer dying in a tragic accident of this kind on their own. Like, as in, not obviously this is stuff with the Man U squad in the plane and stuff back in the day, but you don't hear of it often, especially this early.
It's just rare, isn't it? And like I think reports are that he was on his way back to pre-season training.
Yeah. He was literally driving to catch a ferry at like midnight.
Yeah, but just,
it's bad, isn't it? Because I think the automatic thought everyone always has is like, oh, footballer, stupid footballer, driving fast or whatever he's doing, probably drink driving, blah blah blah. But I don't think it was any of that. I think apparently they were overtaking a car, which in a Lamborghini. So I was like, okay, maybe he was going a bit fast, but it was a tire blowout apparently. So and that can happen anywhere, anyone, and it's mad. Man. We were talking when we were at Lincoln Park, weren't we, about like life. It got quite deep, actually. We were sat there with a few beers and I was like, this is a deep chat.
Well, because of the nature of it is obviously, with Lincoln Park, it's someone who took their own life, and you just go, how do you get to that point? But this is completely different because this is so out of the blue. It just, I don't know how you quite deal with it. I mean, both are equally as bad, mate, but it just shows both instances really where life can be over in an instant. And I guess tell the people that you care about that you love them. Tell them that be present, show up, and go for things, man. Like I just like even with this, what we do, like it's all, I feel like it's a fuck it moment. We just got to give it a go. Do you know what I mean? Whatever comes of it, whether it becomes this or not,
that's what I was saying. That's what I say. Live. There's way too many people who exist. It's just not the same. Like, do everything you can, do anything you can. Don't put it for tomorrow. Don't say, oh, I'll call them tomorrow or I'll message them tomorrow or whatever. Just do it now. And why not? No time like the present kind of thing. But yeah, so our condolences. Not that.
Yeah, to the whole family, mate.
Not that our condolences mean a lot, but sure.
Well, they don't, mate. And whoever watches this, it's just a kind of that. I've always said from the start, I just want to try and be authentic. No bullshit. No kind of, this is a horrible situation. And if anyone needs to talk about stuff that happens like that, just drop it in the comments, man. Like it's people have lost loved ones and probably lose them on a daily in car accidents, and no one ever talks about it. But if you're suffering that kind of grief, mate, like let's just, this will always get more presence because of what who he is and being a high profile footballer. But people go through this every day, and just like when we talk about the football, but if anyone's going through any crap like that, man, like just I don't know, I'm here for it. Do you know what I mean? I just think
the good thing, usually the good thing about football is that it brings everyone together when things like this happen. Like as in, it's not you'll have one or two knobheads who are probably making stupid jokes or whatever, or Man U fans going, crap. But like generally, everyone comes together, and it is quite good in that way, and it again shines a light on it for
and if there's one thing I'm sure of, that Liverpool fans are awesome at stuff like this, and I think already there was people around the stadium yesterday singing his songs, and I even noticed a couple of Arsenal fans there, and so you talk about fans coming together, like it show that unity, that we've got our rivalries and we'll talk banterish and we'll have the debates over football and all that kind of stuff. But it's nice to see people come together when in times of tragedy, I guess, that it's a unity, and no words are ever going to take away the pain of what's happened, but you can kind of say it was a life worth living, and that's I think take some solace from that,
and so our condolences go out, but we're probably going to keep this whole episode to about 20 minutes. It's just kind of an update on what's going on and our thoughts. So quickly on outgoings that have 1.5 happened. So Kesler Hayden has,
1.5,
Kesler Hayden has gone to Coventry. I think that's a good move for everyone involved. I think he's a good player. I think it's a good place for him to go, with obviously Frank managing there as well. I think Coventry are looking like a decent force under him. They got an all right chance maybe again at pushing for promotion or trying to get those in those playoffs again. I think he just needs to play. He wasn't going to get the minutes with us, I don't think.
I agree. I think it was his second loan spell last season. I think that speaks volumes in the fact that you're not going to break through to the first team. I think, like you just said there, run of games at Coventry in a decent time. I mean, Coventry were really unlucky not to get to the playoff final. They were. I think they'll be targeting. Frank's only been there a short period of time, hasn't he? I think give him a run of games. I had a couple of comments on my live last week about what's he like as a player, and he's a wing back. Like he's a good player. He is. I think championship level.
A friend of mine's a Coventry fan, and I said you've got a good talent there. He's a good player. He's got really good potential as well. He's not, he's nowhere near peaked.
So managed the right way, given enough game time, I think he could be an absolute player for them. I think he could be a threat, and so I wish him all the best, mate. I hope they, if Coventry can get promoted over Blues, for instance, I'll take that. So come on,
I'll take that all day.
Guess that. Do that. do for us.
If Kesler Hayden could score the winning goal, that'd be fantastic. Louie Barry. So Louie Barry's a bit of a complex one because he's meant to be going. Is it a second loan spell at Hull?
Yes.
Yeah, because he's already been on loan. So apparently,
he was on loan because he was at Stockport at the beginning of the season, and
then he went on loan.
Then he went. Had him back in January. Then he went out to Hull.
And apparently, basically, the payment for the loan was made late, and there's other late things that I think they're running with, and so the EFL have transfer embargoed them for the next 3 transfer windows. Now, from what I've read, it says they can't pay a fee for a player. Now, whether that then includes loans, I don't know.
No.
And whether this had gone through already, I also don't know.
Well, nothing's been officially announced about it, mate. Anyway, so it's not happened as we know as of going live today on what's the date today? 4th of July.
4th of July,
Happy Independence Day. Sorry to the American contingents. So what does that mean for Louie Barry? Does he sit in limbo now and kind of,
well, I guess
because
I'd assume there's no shortage of suitors for him. He seems to do all right at that level, and I think there'll probably be someone else that comes in for him. But
it was rumored that Blues wanted him, wasn't it? But that was the other kind of potential. I don't know. I think he's a player that has immense quality. I just don't think he's Premier League quality.
I agree. He's natural though. That there is this element of
he's a finisher, 100%, mate.
He's still so young. He's still so young, and he's going out on loan. And I'm like, is it because we can't get a fee for him, and we want to increase that fee through loans, or do we still have him in mind? Maybe.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe, but look, he's never like the other thing for me is if he's never been, we've never given him a real shot. Like he played in the FA Cup against Liverpool, looked dangerous, like natural finisher, and he's deemed not good enough and put out on loan, but never been given a chance. I could understand if you give him a run of 5 or 6 games, right, substitute appearances, see what happens. Is he good enough to play in the Premier League? And we'll just never know. The chances are he probably will be one day. Like, do you know what I mean? And come back and bite us in the ass. But I think that with the downfall is our success that we've had, that we've needed players that can compete at the highest level, because we've been last 2 seasons, well, particularly last season anyway, with the Champions League, it was probably too much of a risk. Do you know what I mean? And our risk was Duran, wasn't it?
So he's not actually as young as I thought. He's 22 now.
Yeah.
So it is at the point where it's like, well, actually,
he needs to be playing first team football, mate.
Yeah, it should probably happen. Now, so I'm just reading here actually that apparently the deal that was in place with Hull was actually a permanent deal. So 3.5 mil.
Yeah, they're looking at buying him, aren't they?
Yeah. So whether it's actually the case of they now would have to do a loan if they were going to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I think from our side, I think it's just a case of, again, I think it's another one of those players that potentially we've just accelerated away to another level. And unfortunately, he's just not quite there. If we were still, in the depths of what we were in under Steven Gerrard and stuff, then probably more likely he would actually potentially be in the squad and might be used. But where we're at now, I think he's just not. And with the way we play, we only play with one striker, that kind of thing. So those kind of spaces within the squad are very few and far between. So it looks like that's, we'll TBC on that and see what happens, whether he does go to Blues or whether he goes
this space, mate. I still envisage that the next couple of weeks we'll see more movement of what's going on.
I feel like we've been saying this for the last couple of weeks.
Well, but I mean, something's got to happen, because we've got to get this wage bill down at some point. Like it has to. If we're looking at strengthening the squad, I'll be super frustrated if nothing happens between now and the start of the season, because, well, it changes the outlook for the season for me. Like we stuff has to happen. A couple of players have to go. Obviously, the ones that we want to keep, we know, like, in terms of Martinez, it's a broken record, but and it's all quiet. So we'll see what happens. But I envisage that something will happen in the next couple of weeks, surely.
Yeah. So obviously we've had the confirmation of Redmond joining. I assume he's going to go straight into the youth setup. I don't think he's going to be in around.
No, well, I read a rumor that he could go out on loan. That was
potentially. Yeah, could be.
I don't know how true that is. So,
I think we're quite keen on loaning players out rather than putting them into our youth team, because we want them to be playing men's football.
Yeah. And again, if that does happen, following your development, but we still means we're still lacking in the final third of any kind of options, mate.
Which then brings us on to, I suppose, we'll quickly touch on 2 that I've heard about. Obviously, there's the Cash stuff that keeps on going around, keeps coming back, keep on hearing about him potentially going, or us being open to selling him. I would say that that's either lazy journalism, because I think it's kind of probably an easy target. I think it's on 100k a week. And secondly, we probably do want to improve that part of the squad. I love Cash. I have a bit of a sensitive spot for him with the kind of Forest links, but he doesn't. I mean, I feel like Garcia's probably going to be pushing towards that starting spot now. We probably want to play him more often.
Yeah.
So actually, we maybe want to replace Cash with an understudy to Garcia, although he's still quite young. But yeah.
Yeah, watch this
It makes
space.
sense to reduce that wage, that salary, that wage bill on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, he would. I sit on the fence with Cash because I think he's been one of our most consistent players, but at the same time, hasn't produced enough for me to want to keep him necessarily. Do you know
He's
what I mean?
a 6.5 out of 10, isn't he? He's a 6.5,
Yeah.
seven on a good day, 6
Yeah.
majority. He's just that kind of like, doesn't really do much wrong, doesn't do
No.
much amazing. He's just kind of run of the mill.
And I was frustrated with him at the end of last season because it felt like he was being coached out to going on the overlap. He kept coming back and giving the ball and trying to recycle the ball, and that annoyed me. It felt like we were only going down the left hand side. It was just a bit odd. I don't know if that's from a coaching perspective or if that's just him being shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, so,
yeah.
Having watched Garcia last season, there was enough there for me to go, yeah, let's give this kid a run in the team. So maybe the Cash is a good thing to get off the wage bill. I don't know.
So we'll see. We'll see how
I wouldn't be unhappy if Cash stayed, though. Do you know what I mean? As a backup to Garcia. So let's see what happens again.
I agree. Obviously, we'll see. Yeah, so TBC to see how that goes. The other rumor that I think you said you hadn't heard, but I'd read in a couple of places, but it could just be again lazy journalism, is Ramsey to Spurs. Obviously, Thomas Frank. Ramsey's he's always an odd one for us in that hasn't had a huge amount of game time, but he's been injured. He's homegrown, so it's always profit, blah, blah, blah. But maybe the PSR issue isn't a big issue now. It's about wages. So maybe it's not as much of a problem. It's whether I think if I'm honest, whether he was to go would be one, obviously a formal bid coming in that we're willing to listen to, and two, how much he desperately wants to play and whether he feels like he will stay fit. So the thing is that I think we're always going to be looking probably at a left winger in some way. Emery sees Ramsey pretty much as just a left-sided player, I think, nowhere else. So is he always going to get that game time? And the problem is, does Emery trust his body enough that he's actually going to be able to play week in, week out? And that's
all
the difficult
questions,
thing.
mate. All the questions. The other thing as well, if a sale of JJ would obviously balance the books as well in terms of pure profit. So
exactly the ratio, because yes, his wages might not be insane, but the sale would massively increase our revenue. So so we'll again speculative. So we'll just have to see on that. But the main topic that I want to talk to you about for the last 5 minutes, Watkins to Man U still will not go away. They haven't. They haven't made.
Watkins.
They haven't made a formal approach or bid or anything. Apparently, there's been discussions going on. Yeah, there's been discussions going on stuff. Now, the question I want to make to you, because I think we know all our opinions on Watkins. We know my opinion, know yours opinion. We spoke about this a lot.
Yes.
The one thing that's been doing the rounds, and I'm thinking if this happens, it'll be later in the window. I think it will be something that will drag on. And it'll be like, is he going? Is he staying? We don't know, blah, 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 blah. Because I think we would only replace him with a known entity. Now, that's either someone Emery's worked with and knows how they're going to slot straight. Because this person needs to slot straight in. This person can't, build into the team and be an understudy and stuff. They need to go straight in. So I think it's either someone who's worked with before or someone we've had before. Now, obviously, there's the classic idea of Rashford coming the other way. So if this was to happen later in the window, Rashford hasn't gone anywhere. He wants to play, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's talking about the swap, essentially. It's not a swap deal, but there's a make weight there. What would your thoughts be on if Watkins were to leave and Rashford were to come in his place? And there's nothing else really happening around that.
Well, I think the first thing I want to address, which is yes, I think that could potentially happen, but I think it would be
anything can happen.
I think Man U would buy Watkins, and I think we'd probably loan Rashford back, and that could be part of something happening, right? And I agree with you that later in the window, which means that we're then using Rashford as an out-and-out number 9, right? Which I don't know if that I think that's potentially a massive risk of using him just as a striker, unless Emery's plans are to bring Marlon in as a striker and play Rashford on the left. That could happen. So it's a possibility. I think the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about with Watkins is, because what all the news has been about is whether, and I'll ask you, this is my question to you, is Man U a step up or a step back? Who benefits the most out of that deal?
So this is a difficult question, right? Because I think if you take the football context out of it, and like in my industry, for instance, if I was sat there and I was like, okay, you're at an up and comer, you're at a not an up and comer, you're at a team you're at a company that's doing well. There's potential there. They could be moving on the up. Or you get a job offer from, I'm trying to think of a company, say Microsoft, massive company, but potentially like kind of a bit, going a bit down. Apple and stuff have overtook them, this kind of thing. How appealing is that? And not only are you doing that, you're staying as their number one. So you're at the top of a kind of a mid to high place here, but you're going to move somewhere where they're on the way down and they're kind of don't have the respect they have before, but you're going to be their number one. So I think there's an element of the name still carries weight, and there's still the whole point of being part of making Man U great again. Now, there's always that carrot, right? And there is probably...
You sound like Donald Trump, mate.
No, wait.
Manchester great again. Let's get caps made out.
We're gonna make Man U great again. But I think that there is that carrot, and obviously there's probably the carrot of huge money, I would say as well. So, but the question of whether they are bigger as a commercial entity, yes, and probably as a player and your commercialness, yes, because the sponsorship deals that come through, all that kind of thing, the name is just way bigger.
Yeah,
it is. From a footballing standpoint, absolutely freaking not. Like right now, they are in the depths of hell and they are struggling. And, next season, they probably have aims of consolidate, get top half, try and get Europe. Like that's probably their aim for next season. Now, the season after that, we don't know because we don't know how next season is. So, it could easily be a really, really good move for him and it could be a massive, massive deal. But yeah, on the size right now on the pitch, we are obviously the better team. Off the pitch, they are still massive. Like you can't deny that.
And this is, I think this is my point. Like you can't deny that the global pull that Man U have is huge, right? And that is from a history that goes back to them buying everybody and doing. But so yes, it makes sense in terms of you could go, okay, I'm going to earn more money. My name's going to be bigger around the world, right? Which has got to be a tempting thing. But the fact of the matter is, Man United are nowhere near competing anywhere for probably the next 3 or 4 seasons, mate. Like, if that. So, and thinking of the age that Watkins is at 30, I think that's a step back in both positions for both Man United and for Ollie. Like, if you go to Man United for those reasons, that he might well get goals, but it's not going to, with that team that they've got currently, they need to probably buy 7 or 8 new players. There's only Bruno Fernandes, really, that you probably go.
Gonna, though, mate. I think they're gonna.
Well, they might do, but will those players fit in and will they do it? Because Cunha, as good as a player he is, he's gone for the money, mate, for me. Like, he's had one good season at Wolves. The pressure's going to be so intense. We know what it's like. If Man U don't hit the ground running and win the first 5-6 games, Amorim will probably be off on his jollies anyway, and the process starts again. That club is toxic as fuck. It is melting to the ground in football terms. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of so. I think Ollie would make him. I think it's a mistake. No European football. It's a massive risk in terms of the players you're going to be playing around, and so for me, if he goes, it's purely financial and the name. That's it. And yes, it has a pull. But
I suppose you also think about the fact that like. I talk about Man U like making Man U great again. It's not like Ollie's got time. He's 31 this year. So what's he got? 1-2 seasons there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
I mean,
many Man United fans, mate, he's not going to go. He's not going to be looked at as a superstar going there to score loads of goals, like when they've talked about potentially Harry Kane moving there before he went to Bayern. Like he's not, or Jokeres, like he's not in that caliber, mate. And we know my argument is like if you think I'm harsh on him being not clinical and missing 33 big chances in the season, fucking Man U fans and the media will be all over that more. That'll be highlighted more than it's ever been. You know, he's got away with it at Villa because his numbers are good and it's consistent. But if you're missing those kind of chances, it's the same for Rasmus Højlund. It just destroys confidence. He's a confidence player. He could ruin his career. No,
I mean, at the end of the day, though, if he goes there and he signs a 3-4 year deal, that's him sorted. Like that's his. He's probably looking at this going, I've got an opportunity of a really, really big payday here, like to end his career, and that could be it. And you don't kind of you don't want to restrict a player from that. Like I don't judge him for that personally at all. When you
absolutely
later years, it's not. And also the other option, what is it? Saudi. That's way worse in my opinion. So like you're better off going to someone like Man U if they come in and potentially doing something brilliant there. But I think the question you were saying before around it was basically like, is it a step up or a step down? Yeah. I think it is a step up. It's a step up to potentially end your career on a bit of a high and being like, I became the top, main striker at Man U. I managed to try and consolidate them, get them up and perform, blah, blah, blah. But 100% in terms of like a step up when if you just took the two teams, then no.
Yeah. No. Yeah, of course not in current form. And I think from our point of view, mate, if they offer 40, 50 million for him, I think we take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
So my question to you from before was, we've only got a couple of minutes here, was would you, my main thing is, if he went there and we didn't bring in another striker other than Rashford coming in, how would you feel about that? And on the striker thing, playing as a striker, Emery did say he sees him as a number 9. He is a number 9. Didn't see him as a left winger. He said that.
Yeah.
So, and he was playing in there.
I think what we rely on, mate, is Marlon getting more minutes and actually turning up and kind of being a real threat, which could be a possibility. Impossible to know because we saw so little of him last year. But does this mean that it's Marlon's season to shine and actually put a stamp on the Premier League? He could be. He's practically like having a new signing, mate, for me, because nobody will know enough of him, even though he's been there since January. So maybe that's the deal. Fact of the matter is, like I said, I hate this fucking part of the season because none of us know what really is fuck's going on. We're just making up fucking bullshit that we want to talk about.
There's lots of stuff happening, I'm sure.
Yeah, again, and as I've said to people on my lives and stuff, like it's kind of, we've got to keep the faith in the owners and the manager that they know exactly what they're doing. Now, again, I said it halfway through this that I think we will know something in the next week or so because they come back for pre-season training next week, Monday, right? And then we're off to America after the Warsaw game. So I think after that Warsaw game, things will have happened. They will have happened because Emery's going to want the people to go away and have a pre-season. Otherwise, you run the risk of bringing people in. Now, that might be with the exception to the Watkins and the Rashford thing. So Watkins may well go on that pre-season tour, I think, after that, because I think Rashford's going to just dig his heels in and go, I want to go to Barcelona, and I'm not moving anywhere until the end of the transfer window, and I'll go right down to the last minute, right, because I'll earn my 350k a week till the end of August. And then, Villa want me on, and then Man United will have a decision to make. We've got to get rid of him, and it'll probably be partial wages, and so that could work for us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. At which point we could still keep Ollie and have them both again. I don't know. Like I wouldn't be adverse to it. But Ollie's got a big decision to make wherever he is because he's got to make a step up. I know we said about it being a step up, but he's got to make a step up, mate. This year it's massive for him. So we'll see what happens.
One last question before we go. If we didn't make any big signings and we basically had the same squad as last season with Rashford in it potentially, yeah. So if you brought Rashford in, on loan, how would you feel about that? Like, we don't have Champions League. We've got Europa League alongside the Premier League. We missed out on goal difference on getting the Champions League again with this squad.
I think
is that a big problem.
I think it's a big problem to compete on all levels in Europa League, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. I think
we did this season or last season.
We did, mate. But we were so inconsistent last year. Like, I think that if you're looking at progression, we need more consistency this year to push for that. Like, let's be real, we want to be pushing for Champions League places. Now, that's going to be harder this year because teams like Chelsea and Newcastle and Man City and Liverpool, they're all just spending the cash and reinforcing. So that top four is going to be very, very difficult to get into. So do I think we can compete on that level with the current squad? No, I think we need to improve it. Even with one major player, maybe that could be Rashford. Get Rashford fit, and if he has a season like he did three or 4 seasons ago at Man U and gets 30 goals, then yeah, do you know what I mean? We're right in it. We've got a good enough core of that team to compete, but we both know that we conceded too many goals last year and we didn't score enough. So if we can rectify that, and that could be 1 or 2 signings.
Mate, that's the basics, isn't it? It's like concede less goals,
well, yeah,
score more, and we will win. We'll win the league.
We'll win the. I'm not about win the league, but
it's like isn't it in South Park? Isn't it in South Park where it's like a thing and it's like plan? It's you just like do stuff, make money, get rich.
Yeah. It's so straightforward, mate. Simple game. Just score more than the opposition and we'll win the league. It's not a problem. Yeah. Obviously, we know it's a bit more than that. But my final point is that I feel, and I continue to feel like we're so close to greatness at Villa. Like, and people might knock it off and go, oh, no, you're not going to compete or whatever. But under Emery, I'm telling you, mate, like, fine, let us go under the radar. But if he gets some of the players that he wants and works with them, I'm telling you, we've got a potential of doing something magnificent. Like, we really have. So, but we need to continue to build on the squad season on season. That's the only way you get better. And that's keeping the players that you've got, the better players, and building around it. That's what Man City do. That's what Chelsea is starting to do. That's what Liverpool are doing. Like and to compete with that is difficult for us because of the global commercial pool that we don't have yet. But that's what the club are working so hard to pull that in. And that takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for Man United. They got it from being successful. So now, to grow our global brand, we have to be successful. We have to go and win something this season, like whatever that is, right? And push on from there, because without the trophies, without the success, you don't bring the global pool and you won't bring the better players. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, Gaz, I think that probably does us. As always, guys, like, subscribe, and also scan this little QR code or visit the link in the description and donate to Acorns. We're on £175 now. Also, if you could make sure that when you do your donation, make sure to make the donation name public and put your public name. Because when it says anonymous, I have absolutely no freaking way of working out who you are. So there was someone who donated £5. So if you are watching this, I'll mention it on the next video at the start again. If you're watching this, you donated £5. You said, good luck, up the Villa, but it was from anonymous. So please let us know who you are so we can put you into the draw.
Yes.
Because otherwise you are called Mr. Anonymous, and it's quite hard for me to work out who that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, Gaz, you going to sing us out?
Yes, mate. It's coming, mate. I'm looking forward to the pre-season friendly starting, because then we can talk about some actual football, and it will all be every week we follow the boys in Claret and Blue. Peace. Enough.